again for a second, because at least now I have my splits at the proper thingy. Anyways, I've gone over all the depth there is in City of Lights, pretty much. Just run across these. Or if you went to, you know, went and did the cat skip run back. Anyways, hit this, and then you'll be here. And there's a couple ways to get down. So one is to go through the right. You jump down like this way, and you can either like take this typical path and then like use the umbrella and then just kind of like run over there, either using the Ratatorial or climbing the motorcycle. Or you can jump onto this lampshade and then down here and then kind of run, and then either, like I said, use this Ratatorial. That will put you directly into the cutscene. Or you can run across, and sometimes the dog will be there though, so usually it's just best to use the Ratatorial. But yeah, you can then run over onto here, and then jump towards Emil at the cutscene. Actually, I'm not sure if dying will, oh, I'm on easy. I'll just go back up. Because at this point, it's probably checkpointing me again anyways. Oh, the other thing, yeah, you can actually, like, space out your jumps over to here, and that can help with your setup for this. I neglected to mention that before. Very sorry. But even, like, the tiniest of use will get you up there. Gosh. At least you get to see all these skips in action. Sometimes you might end up slipping along that, and, you know, you can use the slide like that. Then you can, you know, this would be a backup strat. Not though, like I said, there's that. Or the other alternative is you follow this, then you might end up collecting this, right? You need to switch over to the left so that the cat doesn't actually like hit you off of the building. So after the cat's meter gets close to being filled, like, get off of the ledge, and then after you get back up, jump back, and then you can use this to get down. You can just, like, hold forward and, you know, or yeah, there isn't really any point in running this whole way and then not using the umbrella. Like, technically you could, like, space out your jumps or whatever, but anyways. And the cutscene will actually catch you even if you overshoot the trash can, and it's very tall, so you can just kind of hold forward there. For these mini games, these Twitch ones, only thing I can say is, like, be vigilant. Again, just do not have to do extra ones. If there are things where, like, so, like, right here, where I go from right to up, and then up to right, you can run your thumb over the face buttons, so you can do something like this. And if there's, like, multiple in a row, don't mash, like, actually count out how many presses there are. Like, think the sequence through in your head, and depending on how long it is, that might be the fastest. Like, there's various ways to just, like, mentally approach those. The rope pulling minigame, you want to aim to get as much power as possible, as well as much precision. You'll see at the bottom here, it will light up this little section between those two bars of green. You want to land somewhere within those, preferably the closest to the center of the light. It ramps up in speed the longer the red bar has been moving. So, you know, there's difficulty in that. There is a good bit of range for... You just want to try to aim for excellence. If you get all excellence, you can complete the rope game in, I think, like 4 pulls. If you miss one, then... and just get a great, then you end up just doing an extra pull. There is actually a perfect pull, which, completely fills the bar. Nothing, but it feels like it's happened numerous times and been documented, but it's like very unlikely, and like it's such a tight window that you can't really realistically do it with any fair consistency, and it's a little bit risky to go for, but you can at least like attempt for it with the first couple by like going for a little bit larger of a charge, like in the further end of excellent, like very close to the top, but know that you might actually fuck up and, you know, lose a few seconds there. Of course, if you do get a perfect rope pull, then very much what it takes to get an excellent. There you go. See, I wasn't even... There was still like a good like inch worth of bar left, but I like spaced out the red bar really well, like into the center at the bottom there for the accuracy check. If it ever gets that close, just do like, you can practically mash and get it, so long as you pass this. And then, yeah, it's the same thing. Just, make sure to hit the right button. There's several sections like these and no major skips, but the minigames themselves still have challenge and, skill to them. And the other ones just act as like this only happens after a rough round of platforming, so, yeah. Alright, these chase sequences, you can actually just hold down most of the time. There is no camera function ability, so you can actually feel free to let go of your mouse on keyboard and play these one-handed. However, for controller, you do still have to be sprinting, holding R. So it's kind of just like swerving to avoid a few things like that box or whatever. Here, just look like more towards the bottom of your screen. Like, just imagine you're running forward, but it's like you're looking in a mirror, is essentially what you're working with here. Nice rhymes. I mean, bars. Holy fuck. Anyways, just know that the character chasing you is going to rubber band to you, so regardless of how quickly you're going, if you end up bonking, you have to recover quickly or you are going to die. Or you could potentially, like, you do have a good margin of room between you and the character most of the time, but yeah. The main thing is just anticipating Gap's jump, really. The obstacles. So like there, I need to like that. So that that box you can jump, or you need to swerve it. This box can be a little troublesome because spacing that is hard. Definitely recommend double jumping that. There's a lot of little ledges here, so you know, like I think the menu between the tables, just look for those little elevations, run over them, or like walk over them rather, and switch to running, or just walk, or you know, staying towards the center. You won't have any trouble with the, I mean, since they're curved surfaces, you know, stay to the left, and then here you need to swerve to the right or double jump. Sometimes Yeah, the room is actually, like, you don't have nearly as wide of a view compared to typical gameplay, so that's why these chases can be difficult. But whenever you learn the layout of them, they essentially act like auto-scrollers, in all honesty. Some may argue that the slides do it as well, but, you know, there's more intricacy and nuance and potential with those. Believe it or not, at the end here, there is actually a difference in terms of strats. So you can either spin over this, so these are sticky surfaces from, oh, there's wine pouring out of their fucking, or it's disgusting stink water. Either or. Good Ratatouille memes. If you spin, Remy's speed isn't actually, like, he's not, like, it maintains whatever surface, so it's like the ground surface. You don't end up being in a sticky surface. So either walk, stop running, and space a spin proper, or more simply, you can do the jump. I think jump is just going to be more intuitive and easier for people to pick up, because it matches in line with the logic of the rest of the game. But if you want to go for swag, the spin is a win. Just run forward and hold to skip cutscenes. Alrighty. Similar thing here with when you land off. There's a lot of wires here you can trip over. I tend to jump it, but you can carefully go to the right of them, or you can, at lower FPS, just sprint over them. Just, you know, don't worry. I guess you can also run over that. I usually go from the left side here. Because, like, you spawn kind of on the left. Like, going to the right is a little cumbersome. Either or is fine. If you take the left path, though, let's look at these. Yeah, you can't run over that as easily, but you then just get to go in a straight line, whereas on the left path, okay, this is just slightly, you either can cross this board, or you can drop to 15 FPS, or you can run, and then, yeah. Just know that, it is possible to trip on, like, the edges, and that you don't want to suddenly start falling, or whatever, so just, like, maintain. And then, you don't have to worry about this. Whenever you run onto the slide, land, like, on the left or the right, so that you can start, you know, getting the benefit of the slope, like I've said before. But this slide starts with a rather massive slope, so you don't have to worry about that as much. Sort of left, right. Jump these rings earlier, so that you're able to, actually make several consecutive jumps. Like, left, right. Then a strat that I use coming up is I do a couple multiple jumps into the walls, so that I lose speed, but I don't lose much, and I'm still, like, keeping in with, because if you're going too fast here, this is one of those curves that you can't really make. Otherwise, you can, like, pull back and slow down. But you do still want speed for the next section, where you jump a gap where you actually need speed. So, like, if you want to have enough speed to be able to slide off of this and then land on this pipe. If not, then you can just, like, if you don't have that, then you can, like, do 2 jumps as necessary. But, you know, the slides, the strats on them aren't nearly as big as in the main levels, but these are the top tier strats for those that, you know, care enough to learn them and have what it takes and whatever. Okay, so then wait till... Okay, so then I stay at the right a little bit, but then I jump into the left wall here. You have to be careful not to jump too high up, because if you do that and you have enough speed, Remy can actually clip out of bounds. But after you hit the left, you're going to want to start actually, after you've hit the left once or twice, then hold right, and then you're going to jump into the right, because this is kind of like a snaking path. And you're essentially just kind of like, you're kind of bonking yourself a little bit, but while you're bonking, you're like shooting yourself over the corners. That was a bad point in which to like stop to consider what I was saying. You're shooting yourself into the corner. Okay. So then you jump over to the right, and then once you reach here, or like even once you get to that right bend, you might be fine in terms of speed. And then just use, after you fall off of that, you have that half pipe again, and you can regain your speed. Here you can jump or just fall off. If you are going to fall off things, there is a chance of, like, just Remy coincidentally hitting some kind of geometry and then just entering locking or losing his speed for some idiotic reason. So I always like hold forward, although that may actually be part of what it is. No, actually, I think holding forward will help because you'll maintain like collision with the slide and the speed and not end up. It's like whenever you're. It's the same as with those fallen trees in Destiny River, because you don't want to get stuck on those. It's the same principle here. Anyways, then land on this. Oh, this long. This is even a good opportunity to check chat and all that kind of stuff. Swerve along here again, just slightly tighter paths. Alright, for these, I also kind of do a thing where I like hug the left or right side. And you can either go left or right path. Both seem to be pretty fine. You have to like jump more on the left path, which as I said loses speed. But there is more of a downward slope. But both have a pretty good downward slope. I tend to lean towards the side that the right path is faster. But with the density and regularity of skips being found in this game, just within the main levels, the slides and, you know, a lot of those like more secondary game types and that don't get tested or looked on as much because they don't have as much depth and don't like eat up as much as the game is. Like, it's usually one or both of those reasons. I'm gonna show the right path strat, and then I'm going to. Okay, so the right path strat, you really have. I'm really gonna have to hold right there and then just mash to get jump. You don't have double jumps, so like mashing jump again is fine. And then I'm going from the right, going to the left. I'm trying to get into contact with these as quickly as possible, have as much room to jump. Sometimes that's the only way I'm going to get to jump, like with this. And also not have too much of a loss of speed. And then from here, you would just go on. And then, see, both of these paths lead back in the same manner. However, now I will show what the other path looks like. I will back up so that I properly have speed to demonstrate. Also interesting to note, picking up cheese on slides and Destiny River does not actually activate the Xbox. Oh gosh. Yeah, you would have more speed here, but this is what it looks like, so you know. Either way, do your mattressless. Even with things like that, see, I only needed a single jump there, so I'm not going to jump anymore. There is a possibility that you need to know about where you can have so much speed in the right angle that you end up actually just landing on the concrete here. And what's interesting about that is if you continue running, like, the game still hasn't completely recouped from you being on the slide, and Remy will still have, like, some elements of, like, the sliding surface. Basically, his movement, will be a little bit jank because some of the speed will be pressured, still upon him. You can see that on, like, the first level if you just, or on the first slide where there's, like, that, that board that you run up, Remy will just kind of gradually slide to the right or left or something. I don't know. And it may also depend on something. It's kind of like he has slide speed stored, and that can do, like, some negative speed jank. But, you know, just recognize that and, like, press against it and you'll be able to counteract it. It only acts until, like, you leave the level. Usually it ends up, going in the same direction as, however you were going on the slide. So since you typically end up holding up left, I need to try holding up right, see how that goes. You're going to be pushed left, so you have to, like, hold right more. Just watch out for this board. It's fallen, and you can't get up without a jump. Just hold that. And, now you have learned City of Lights, one of the most dense and difficult, in terms of skips and pathways, especially, before and now because of Cat Skip. So, very intense, reset-heavy section of the run. Definitely worthy of giving yourself a pat on the back. Perhaps even a break if you feel necessary in learning. Enjoy the atmosphere and the music of the game, and know that I am taking a piss. I just needed to justify it, that's all. It's too bad. And I guess I came home from hopping around. I can do this. Alright, fellers. With the hard R, fellers. It's not even fellers, it's fellows. I can't believe I didn't send that. Anyways, yeah, we're back and we're ready to get into the hub and Little Chef. Every level is wrought with skips. In all honesty, but this one is definitely a lot less reset heavy for the most part, whereas like City of Lights can be that way through the middle, and this one is really only perhaps the case at the end, depending on what strategy you use. Okay, this is where you spawn. After the thing, so let's just continue. Hold forward till you fall, then turn to the right. Run over this. Double jump over this, because if you single jump, you're just gonna have to jump again, or just like wait to like walk to deal with this huge like bricks in the way. Same with this board. Alright, so there's a tiny skip you can do here. The hub movement is not very intricate. There's just like small interludes between levels. So normally what you do is you jump on this box and then jump and just use they really gave you like far more pegs than were necessary. I wish someone would peg me as a good person. Peg me as a good person. Like choose me as. But you only need to jump on that middle one, and then, you know, don't press the action button to grab again, basically, is what that comes down to. The other thing you can do is actually, like, all along this wall, this wiring actually has collision. As you saw, like, I got stuck in here, which isn't all that helpful because, you know, you can't jump again, but, like, towards the center here, where, like, there's this little overlap on the wires, right where this, on the middle where this one's sticking out, or like right below it, there is enough to be able to double jump. You really only want to be dealing with the middle one that's poking out. Definitely something to, don't quite just mash though, because you may end up getting stuck underneath the thing. You need to like maybe do one of those late jump memes. I don't have this much issue with it. Or you can just press into the wall until you yeah, so actually like a little bit, like this whole bit that's sticking out here, like there's another point right here where it's like just pressing into the wall as opposed to away from it. So just kind of slide along it until you're able to jump. It's a little weird, it's maybe slightly inconsistent and risky, but it can save time. Otherwise, just do the typical strat there. You can also, you know, save yourself with damage boosts over back. From here, just run. None of this will trip you, even this big thing here, surprisingly, because you just, like, it's because of the points in which you're running, like when your paws are touching the ground again. From here, though, you are going to run into a slippery surface, so you need to be ready to jump and fling yourself towards the center plaza here. I don't know why I keep pausing. You're gonna have this pop up. You may run into this slippery surface. Let's just see how this would look in real time after, say, getting down from here. You might like want to pause for a second just so that you get the distance to get on here, because you usually want health to be able to damage boost this. Sling yourself over towards this large like heater or like electric generator or whatever this is, towards the center and dartboard. You may land on top of the dartboard, or you may land on this, or you may land on this. Whatever it is, you're gonna need to get on top of that. So another quick example, because I need to die to just, you know, landing on that is good. So then you land on this, you run, and you can do this in any way. Like, so long as you get over there with any health, really. But sometimes I like to have the extra health point or two just in case I fuck up for the upcoming skip, because you have to platform on top of a rather thin piece of geometry, piece of level collision and all that. Classical rat. Now play classical rat, which is actually true because this is gaseous. This is a gas skip, so it's classical rat without the gas, actually, because you're disabling the gas in the mission. But none of that ratters. So, reason to space out your jumps is just to adjust for however many damage boosts you can take. You can land on this can, right? And then from here, you can either just jump over to here and then over to there. Or, you know, if you have enough health, you might be able to confidently get over to here. That I would still double jump, because I'm not sure that I would actually get on top of this, guaranteed. Yeah, whatever it takes to get over here to cut you from having to like go all the way around with those steps and everything, and then just jump into the cutscene trigger here. Okay, you may be tempted to jump immediately here. Hold on. Okay. I believe I'm back. I had a little mishap with my throat. Your sister's throat had a mishap with my dick. Oh. Been at it 2.5 hours on this profile. Really speedy. This is what it takes, though, to get to be the best, you know? Anyways, your initial instinct may be to just jump forward, but as you saw, it landed me on the bottom of this board, and then the board goes really haywire. Even if you are running, usually it will mean you will trip, and sometimes you may even fall down here, and then considering you entered here with low health, you'll die and it will completely defeat the purpose. Oh hey, neat. I actually didn't know about this hole. That's very cool. His dad's still there till the deed is done. So you want to walk forward, sprint forward, whatever, so that way you end up landing more towards the center of this board. And then continue onwards. Okay. Still hold forward, because you can move, sorta, during the cutscene, even though it warps you, and it's funny. Now for here, I'm just gonna hang on the side. There's a piece of cheese here, if you need it. I usually put myself down to 1 health and then just grab this. For safety's sake. Again, on hard difficulty, which you may equip depending on if you're capable of doing these linguini skips. You actually take 2 damage. So to have another opportunity, if you do take damage, you actually need at least 3 health. Jeez, grommet. Grab this. Run and hit the very edge of this to get the speed boost from jumping off of a slippery surface. And normally Skinner will not have ran up to you by now. I just had to stop and explain the cheese things that fucked it up. Here, actually, let's re-enter the level so we can see the proper cycle. Even like a late jump there would be good to help set you up. Yeah, so I guess that bonk is kind of equivalent of a... Yeah, so you'd squeeze behind Skinner or whatever. That, and then you're going to pull it into here. You might need to double jump on these because these barely make it. And then instead of just jumping up there, the cutscene trigger actually extends like far enough outside here for you to just like hit it from there. And that will warp you onto the table. From here, you can actually just hold forward and trip over without like... There's like mini bonks you can do where like the sound effect will play and Remy might like tumble a little, but you end up canceling it by entering either a walking state or a falling state, again by like interacting with another thing or having released your run or whatever. Anyways. Epic talking about releasing runs. Sorry. The reason to do that, like just hold forward there, is to avoid landing on this, because then you'll just have to spend more time falling to go nowhere. Which is nothing as far as your distance. 15 frames a second. Okay. To get over here, normally you have less health or whatever, of course. Get picked up and then double jump. That's another crazy thing you can do, but it's actually not very useful for the speed run. Get up here. You can double jump this from down here. If you need to, though, you can get up here and then late jump, whatever. And then I usually walk onto this plate and kind of do like a diagonal jump. And you want to land on this spigot. Now, the spigot is very long and has a lot of different like parts of an elevation to it. You want to be like just towards the center of it, because that's where the angle is the greatest and the highest. So from here, all you have to do is curve out a little bit and jump at this side. And you don't actually even need... You can actually, like, get over this ledge, but you don't need to. But even, like, if you jump from, like, here... actually, I'm not sure how... if it's that lenient, really. You definitely need to be on the spigot, though. It's just generally best to be sure that you get the height. Because if you don't get this, you go back to that table over there and you spend like another 40 seconds retrying for what's one of the easiest and oldest skips in the game. If you don't end up making it up there, don't sweat it. Just get in the water and get yourself like underneath the middle of the faucet. Or I should say underneath where the faucet begins, like in the middle of these two, you know, the hot and cold adjusters, the handles here. Or, yeah, between the faucets where the spigot starts. Sync terminology pro. The reason for that is because there is a collision lower that will make you take damage faster, Mario 64 lava style. I didn't get it there, but you'll be able to see it in a second. And you will have hit a cutscene trigger up here, and that'll get you there. I sort of interacted a bit there. Yeah, right there. So you can see you will actually bounce for less time. Okay, so once you land up here, you will be all set back at 5 health. And you need the health for the upcoming damage boosts. So when you run off here, do not just hold forward, because there is a chance you may miss the ledge and you may fall and splat on the ground. You won't necessarily die, but you will be set up to die at the very least.
Nobody said this would be easy.
Again, just that. See, if I hold, like... That was technically slightly upright, but now I'm at 2 health. That's no fun. So I actually even, like, just go slightly left, because either way I'm going to collide with this surface, and it doesn't matter, like, at all in regards to my distance, because I need to go left anyways. Go along here, because you're going to hit this slippery surface. Lots of grease spills in this kitchen. Have to... Not been the same since Gusteau left. No wonder they've lost stars. Stars are scattered across their restaurant. And then run to the right or left this box, and then hold A, and okay. Mini games. Yeah, so optimally this would be the only linguine cooking section that you do, and thankfully it's the one that's the shortest and has only real skilled mini games. You hug this table and run around here. Linguine literally only runs, and yet we have ways to get him out of balance, but that's another story. Enter this, and he kinda is fucking schmoovin' like a DJ, very quickly swaps between objects. But yeah, you press B to say like, oh, this isn't the object I need, or the ingredient I need, press A to say that it is. So at the start, you do want to mash. You can even get away with getting potentially 2 or 3 ingredients in a row. You need to like look at what the ingredient is, locate it on the table, and then hit no or yes, or hit yes if you're at it, and then just hit no until you see his hand hover above the ingredient. This minigame can go very fast, even with like the bad luck. Like it will only throw you off by like a handful of seconds. You just need to kind of like learn the table layout, and like you need to avoid using like color or things like that for shorthand for an ingredient, because there's like if we look at this table, you have both the lettuce and the cucumber are green. The tomato and the meat wrap bone, whatever, are both red. The shrimp is also red. The mushrooms and the cheese look similar when they're all pixelated like I have them now. And the mushroom and the thing that I'm totally cultured enough to know what it is at the center, that Linguini's playing like the piano right now, are also the same color. The fish and the cheese are the same color. You know, like, so there's a lot of potential overlap, and you might accidentally like choose something incorrectly and confuse yourself. You need to be wary of that. Just listen for that ding ding to see that you're right. There's also several set recipes. So once you've played the game enough, you can kind of know what those are, just like mentally, and you might recognize those. It was the designer's job to be creative. It is our job to follow the recipe. So that can help with that strat too. But yeah, otherwise there's not much depth to that game, because, you know, it's a mini game. But there is some skill and knowledge required to operate optimally. You'd normally, whenever, and then you hold like back left, by the way. You normally, after finishing both these mini games, would be in like before the first fourth of the timer passes, or slightly after. Yeah. This next one is just a mashing thing. You spin the one stick in a circle, or on keyboard, it's a little difficult, but the main thing with keyboard is you have to get it like in a rhythm. So like kind of think of like tapping your fingers like impatiently or whatever, except with a little bit more tactfulness, if that makes sense. I could make like a visual demonstration of that if people need to understand, but you know, that's more so what you need to be thinking of. You don't really need to press each like up, down, left, right individually in order to work. I actually just kind of hit A, up and down, and D at the same time, because it will still read them both, and it will end up yeah, we'll end up doing that enough to count. With the stick, you can actually kind of just like go in a square, similarly, like cut yourself a little bit of movement on the thumb, like go straight across, as opposed to having to do a full circle every which way. And then just, you know, mash. You can do both at once, or just, I prefer doing one or the other, because it allows my hands to be more focused and skilled at each item. Oh man, we're coming close though. This is coming clutch. This is coming clutch. Alright. And then hold X after this, but once you see that skipped, this is one of those scenarios where you can accidentally input jump on Remy, and you really do not want that here. Okay, so if we look at our scenario here upon spawn, this is actually one of those rare scenarios where there is a slick spill that you do not want to jump with, actually. So if we just walk, it's right in front of us, so if we walk into it, we have shitty speed, and then, you know, the control and all that, like, it doesn't matter. You're wasting time being airborne. If we do end up, running into it, we actually don't get that much speed. Like, look, I'm landing, and I'm at, like, 1.4. Almost 1.8, perhaps.
Thank you.
Or, I mean, 1.5, perhaps. But that's also after having dipped below 1.4. Like, I should already be at or above 1.4 by the time I am at this, like, jump apex for it to be a worthwhile thing. So what you actually want to... And you can't really angle the jump well, because when you're doing the jump, you kind of, like, lock your angle after you do the second one, and you're going straight at something that you need to be turning more here anyways. So ultimately what you want to do is just walk over this little bit of, I need to get this urchin out of here. Okay. Run over this little bit and then let it carry you, pretty much, like, still be holding a direction. But then, you know, turn over this way. This time go to the left. And actually, you just want to go to the right of Git. You don't need to go over a box or anything. Like, this is the easiest, and it's the closest. I'll activate this trigger. And this is what the whole thing was about. Lalo boosting. Yeah. So, you know, all these guys have a hitbox to them, and Lalo's station is just set up in such a way to, like, if you're pressing into his left side, it's just because, like, he's all hunched over and whatever, it conveniently and easily puts you up onto this table with little to no effort required. As far as alternatives, you can come and get this can. You can't reach that. No. But you can go and create a pocket with the can, potentially. It's stupid, and you don't need to do it. Whatever. Really just learn this, and it will save you a heck of a lot of time.
It's never
It's
easy,
possible he may slap you again with his hand, or notice you and try to pick you up, so be ready to be moving right after you get hit. Is the main thing there. Now there's two ways you can go. You can run to the other side of the table and use the Ratatorial. There is a chance he'll catch you though. However, what ends up being faster... okay. Sure thing, Remy. Faster in the long run, because you need to set up for this, is, jumping over this way and dropping this, this checkpoint line, this spool of thread. Then from here, you're going to jump on this pot and jump round about to here. You actually don't want to do a late jump here. This pot just extends a little further, and you have to press continually hard into this so that the edge of this will carry you forth. Okay. Anyways, from here, you can double jump up here and then get on this. You can actually, in the same manner as the pipe in the tutorial, you can jump and then run along this, and then you can, you know, you can just press square whenever you need to readjust, and you can jump back on if you do slide off. Thankfully, Rat is a very forgiving game in that sense, so it's, you know, it's, again, it's user accessible, but high skill nonetheless. So run over to here, grab the umbrella, and then float over to the right. Just press or hold square, whatever, to get in that. Then jump over. Wait a second so that you're not so close to the wire as to interact with it. And then do your Jedi Sparkly Force thing onto this. And stay on the doorknob for a second. Otherwise, the cutscene won't react. The reason I say that is because this next coming skip involves you jumping off this doorknob. So normally, after this cutscene, the game pushes you off because you know, you're getting down and you don't need to be there, and they want to force you to do a Linguini minigame. But actually, if you just mash jump, you can... He did it! He did it! Remy's self-aware. You can re-land on the doorknob, or even land on this this box, or this wire again. And I do have to be careful because I believe, yeah, this box actually still has, like, the trigger for this is freaking enormous. But, you know, they tried to, cause, you know, they were worried about you skipping or whatever, cause, like, they have you up so high or whatever. Yeah, they didn't think quite everything through. If you do frick it up, though, and F it up, and oh no, monkey, something.
Nobody said this would be easy.
A little annoying because there is this urchin, but you can come over here, grab this can. You're allowed to, like, explore that back corner or whatever normally here. But what you would do is, if you have to reload from, like, whatever it may be. Oh, nice! Remy did a full backflip 360. Really, just mash both things and you'll get that. But, yeah, as you can see, you have very little room to work with, and I'm kind of forgetting how this would go. You run, you grab this, you put it towards, like, the corner, like, against this door. I really hate this urchin. And then you press against this rope, and there's actually a little piece of collision right beneath the door itself that's just in the rope, very strangely enough. From here, you can jump up to here, and just follow this along until you get over to here, jump onto here, and then the other mission trigger is actually already loaded and available. It's just that this game wants to make you do the Linguini things, but it's like a whole separate, like, trigger. So, like, both of those are going on at once. So what ends up happening is, right now, I'm going to enter Mission 3, but Linguini 2 is still going to be active. And that's going to be important for when we go to do Linguini 3 skip. Okay. So, this one is very easy, and definitely be done. From here, though, space out your jumps. And over here, and then you can either just come down this side, or you can run over to the front. Either way, you then need to run and pick up hot sauce, which is the bomb. Literally. Mash through that, and then run over this. You can walk over this plates to cut the corner on higher FPS. Let him grab that, run back. This will save you trips later, and you'll just be able to sprint after this guy grabs that. See, that was a bonk cancel too. Skip that cutscene, then run down over this way. So I guess... Oh. Yeah, so you could do, another... Blackboard boost.
Nobody said this would be easy.
And then do the same thing here if you forgot to do this, but normally I just would run over, grab this. You actually can't use the, you can't use the Ratapult because you have to actually go to over by that, where that key is. So you have to come up here and get the umbrella. Be sure to have held or like pressed square and that you see and hear this, see that key fall. Because if you fall down here without the key, you have to go through that whole ordeal again. Now there is another strat, although much more difficult and potent. It tends to be that bomb hovers are higher, go higher on higher FPS because you've interacted with the slippery surface for longer. But and I've never been able to manage it, especially with this shitty PC. Yeah, I keep hitting... The other problem is I keep hitting the... ceiling there. Which sends me immediately downwards. I'm gonna give it 1 or 2 more tries, but I think you will generally understand the idea. Anyhow, if one is able, they would be, that you could actually get up there. It's very weird and odd how the angle or like the actual like getting a full cover to like get enough height up there would work. I mean, like, look at where that is in comparison to where that is. It's pretty wild. It's like even slightly difficult for human reach. Anyways, run this key up in the same manner in which you ran the bombs up before. And there we go. Alright, now for Linguini 3 skip. That's where things get interesting. First off, you need, for the method I'm going to show you, you need to be at least 5 health. So, right now I'm at 1. Easy way to get rid of health, you can either splat, or you can run back and do, use this sink to quickly deplete your health. There is also a cheese directly to the right of I guess it would be directly, whatever, it's to the right, yes, of where the cutscene places you, if you're at 4 health. So, this involves getting up to the same wire that was used for Linguini to skip. Now you can do this by, you know, you can climb up here. Now, the Linguini 2 mission thing does actually cover the table partly. Linguini! So you have to avoid that. Whatever, this is still for demonstrative purposes. Space out your jumps. You can still, like, so long as you land somewhere near these cans or whatever. And work your way over to the Ratatorial. Land up here. You can, like, land on here early. If you land on here too early, you will have a slow animation. But you need to move yourself over towards where this archway is, and technically you don't need the archway. A good way to tell is that this camera will try to turn. I'm over around here. Okay, I guess it still does do that. Okay. Well, that disproved my theory, but that was a theory from like 2 years ago probably now. So anyways, what you're gonna want to do is essentially, like, this Linguini trigger goes right to where this vertex in the wall is. It goes about as high as that. So everywhere from this one corner that I have on the so I'll just stand above it. So this corner that's right behind Remy, that's like the highest point that the trigger sits at. So there's a whole little trapezoid here where Remy can actually jump over without being bothered. If you go too low, Remy will still enter the cutscene even though he'd normally be dying. Like, they actually, like, catch you in midair, and here I'll show what that looks like. Now, that may have been harder to tell because I wasn't, you know, I was still falling. Let me show with undeniable truth while I go and do, a different form of platforming. You can run up here, then jump off of this, or umbrella. Oh wait, no, you can't actually use the umbrella. The trigger hits up there. But yeah, jumping on the top, down to here. You can actually run off of this and onto here, but it's a little risky. Be sure to hold square. Yeah, so that's what happens. They'll, like, force you as though you are standing, or whatever, or even just, like, keep sending you higher. Whatever action you are doing, it will catch you, and it will find you. Stop you. So yeah, I actually just assumed that most of the table, except for this one sliver, is it. Anyways. So you can use this as part of a way to help, like, guide you in terms of the timing. Linguini! I couldn't go far enough there and got my momentum cut is what happened. Let us actually, now that we're doing real attempts of it, get the proper health. And I'll also show you the the other way of which you can do this. And so, you can be up here, you run over, and you can actually, by mashing fast enough, because the game doesn't have time to interpret like the quickly changing model, like so your collision and your speed, you're able to clip through some thin surfaces such as this. Of course you have to angle it well, but you can use that to get up here. Otherwise you can just double jump, or you know, anyways, you can use this, put it like just a few tiles away, do a brief little hover. Try not to lose height. Hovering itself is very odd. There is a backup here where Skinner can pick you up. If you are over in this corner, the camera won't flip around as hard. Anyway.
Little help here?
Yeah, so this would save you some platforming, but it's kind of risky and difficult, maybe mildly inconsistent. If I could do it, that is. I have trouble with this strat for no reason. Don't go too far left or you'll hit the trigger too, actually. I think I'm holding R2. So the reason bomb hovering works is because the top of the bomb is actually curved. Or maybe more of like a cone. But either way, you end up basically, by holding R after interacting with the oh yeah, my frame rate's low as fuck because my PC is awful, but let's not talk about that.
Okay.
Let's not talk about that. Yeah. About that. Let's forget about that. Fuck. Why? Sorry, there's like a lot of different things in the level that are distracting me and making it hard to actually address what I'm attempting to do and what makes bomb hovering work. Yeah, you have to be quick about... Oh my god. Yeah, it's also just not letting me jump properly a little bit sometimes. So, by holding R, you are extending the sliding surface that is on top of the bomb. You want to line up with the bomb in a way to like that, where you are catching the upward slope, and then... So, like, you don't want to sprint because you curve your paws upwards. Yes, I know. I don't want to... I don't have any choice. I actually... My frame rate is not capped right now. This is how my frame rate naturally is, and that is the only thing I'm going to say in regards to the matter. See, even if you, like, fuck it up, you can end up hitting the linguini. There's also technique to it, though, so... You need to line up, like, with the center, and you need to press against it and, like, press R with certain timing. Fuck off! There's 3 fucking things here that normally aren't! I released R 3 years ago. now people get to see what I go through for runs. I'm actually getting sent downward. I just have to slide off the top. I don't even need additional height. I barely need additional height. I'm pressing it too late. That's what's happening there.
Nobody said this would be easy.
I don't care. I don't have perk.
Oh yeah.
It was gonna get beefed up by me being ill. I was up. I was stuck awake already.
Got it handled, Maestro.
I mean, the thing's not charged. That's the other. That's why I said no.
Oh yeah.
Okay, you know what? Maybe it's that I still need to hold. Is holding X holding the button anything? Yes. Because, like, it's this weird meeting of like, regular movement and sliding surface.
No, I need your help.
There we go, Jesus. It's literally just slide for like half a second and you can be fine, but apparently that's hard for me. I'm sorry. Anyways, use this. This is what happens when you activate that too soon, so don't do that. Right side, and there you go. So that would have done it if I hadn't taken damage from the 500 attempts of the bomb hover. So now I need to do the bomb hover.
Okay, okay. Yeah.
There you go. And you take 4 parts falling damage. And then you can just run up there. Now I do want to see and actually try something here. Because they need to know if this is actually necessary. To go on the right side. It's just something I had done for convenience, I think. Yep. Can we please get out of 15 frames per second mode? Okay, see, so I'm like also rubbing over like whole different angles. It takes a moment, but when a bomb roll spawns for you to grab it, that's important to know when you go to maybe I need to go like run over the top of the bomb neutral and then
Couldn't be simple, could it?
Yeah, I forgot about that. Okay.
Easy as
See, that's the problem, because then the hitbox actually, like, goes, longer. Some weird shit whenever you're not holding
me?
thing.
Afraid of heights?
Bomb hovering in general is just a very weird thing. This is definitely one of the hardest skips in the game. Especially this, that no matter what form of it seems. I mean, Jet does his thing that apparently works well for him and is consistent, but
Great!
anyways, just for demonstration's sake. There we go. So then you'd climb up and hit that. And that is skipping over this trigger. Because the cutscene trigger still exists for both. Okay. Let's try one more and then demonstrate the other method. Yeah, so I think the trigger actually extends further because they don't want you to just try and, like, fall onto a meal from above. Like with the umbrella. That's what that would entail. Entail!
Oh, yeah.
More like these jokes are so shitty they came from my end trails.
I think I've got this height thing under control, no problem.
I keep hitting it wrong. I'm actually just gonna test that off stream. The other way in which you can do this is not getting caught by Skinner.
Thank you.
Heck the bug.
Oh, yeah.
Right, so below here, there's a box that is stacked quite high. Between that and the, okay, let's actually see if we can, yeah, so, like, between that and the place where the key was is where you try to, fall. You try to, like, wiggle your nose in there, like, stick it through, and that will actually give you this checkpoint, which normally, when you run over here, it doesn't let you, like, you hit that checkpoint, or you hit the thing there. Wait, can you just, like,
I never knew
stupid.
being a chef could be so complicated. Or dangerous.
Yeah, you normally can't cut this corner. Like, it warps you via death, but, like, with it being a spawn point, it doesn't, like, properly treat it or something. I don't know exactly why, like,
I never knew being a chef
like,
could
it could be
complicated.
that kind of a
Dangerous.
thing. Maybe, can you just, like... I guess you can't get far enough back. Is the idea. If it could be that simple, though, like, imagine. I guess, yeah, there's a couple other alternatives to this that I can see existing that I'll have to try out. But anyway, stick your nose in there or do... This one is less dependent on your health and doesn't require as stingy of a setup.
Gotcha.
Yeah, stick the nose through the box. Yeah, see, as soon as you turn back, even. That's so weird. But yeah, from there you can just run to a meal. Like so.
All about living life.
Yeah, you have to be careful to not go over the box, though. Glad that happened, because that actually is very good at demonstrating. Also, nice Gusto points. 420. 420 tens. Oh, and do also get to use the slippery surface there. Whenever you run anywhere like this. Nice jitter. It's good friend Skinner did. Yeah, just kind of like jump into the corner there. Just get it. There's like just a couple different like layers or some weird shit to this, so. And then you have these mini games. I'll try for a few perfects. But yeah, you can see how much room there is actually to make a excellent pool. The main one of note here is this. So look for ones that are the shining things or things in groups of 3, and that will save you from having to look down there and just like start shooting at them. You can actually spam this without any like repercussions, but it's better to time them so that you're able to shoot as soon as your cursor overlays a thing, and you generally want to go from top to bottom, because as a food is falling, if there's another food you're trying to shoot, the falling food can actually block your shot. So you need to watch out for that. And you also should try to, like, you know, be, like, graciously and gradually moving your cursor from one to one to the other, you know, as you're kind of doing your clean sweep top to bottom sort of thing. And when I say top to bottom, you should, you know, whatever's, like, so for here, I'd start at the second row and go down. I don't need to, you know, like, go up here at all, necessarily. Maybe, like, scan up there with your eyes, but, you know. And you can always just look at the bottom to confirm whether or not you do this in the right way. Or rather, actually, I misspoke. You want to do bottom to top. There was something else I had wanted to say. Yeah, you can also just try to, like between the screens, you can swap, like you can move the cursor and shoot things while the screen is even like transitioning. The controls are a little weird and like curved, or at least your perspective is during that, so do just know of that. But you know, whatever, every little bit of time you can make is good for that. Okay, I'm going to just I mean, this last mini game here is just the typical thing we saw in Paris Streets, actually. Wait, that timer was still going while it was like had the text box? Dude, that's jank. They get rid of the linguini trigger though. Wait, really?
Linguini!
Okay. That's weird. Not sure how or what makes the game choose. I think that's just because, like, oh, the game just assumes then that you failed the mission, but you sat. Yeah, so the alternative, actually, to the doing these skips is to just sit through the linguini mission. If you put the game on hard mode, the timer is way shorter, and whenever you complete a minigame, it actually gives you more time on that timer, like significantly so. And so, especially on the hard mode difficulty, if you just let linguini sit there for the final minigame, you end up saving time over doing the minigames. Obviously, skipping them entirely saves a couple minutes, so that's preferable, but if you absolutely have to, there is that. Yeah, just the same deal. That other minigame was just a duplicate where you know, press the right button and win. I'll go over the subsequent chase, slide, and then market, and deserted kitchen will be covered in the second half of the tutorial. Gonna go test some fight.